everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin and welcome to day 8 of 13 days of Halloween. So for today's video we are going to be reading some scary true stories about Ouija boards. How convenient that I lift up the board and all of a sudden my battery is dying in my camera when it was just said it was fully charged. Very comforting. BRB, gotta switch my battery. Okay, let's see if this fully charged battery lasts. Yes, I have a Ouija board. These stories are not my personal story. I do have a personal story about using actually this Ouija board, and I have not played with it since. In fact, this is the first time that I've opened up to this box with this particular Ouija board in about 15 years. That's how long. Yeah. I carry around the Ouija board with me wherever I go. I haven't buried it, I haven't burned it. Really, we've lived a quiet existence together for as long as I've had it. My friend in high school actually, her mom bought this for us to use. It was in her bedroom. The box that it came in, the planchet for it is underneath where the Ouija board sits, and I guess this is a personal story. Anyway, she had this thing in her room and she could hear the planchet tapping around on the inside of the box, and it ended up in my house. We used it a couple times after then and then never again. But yeah, we just kind of coexist, the Ouija board and I. I will do eventually a separate video on why I choose not to use the Ouija board anymore. I do have my personal reasons for it. I know some people say, well, it's just a mass-produced board game. Parker Brothers makes it. I personally, from my personal experiences, know that is not a toy and that you can channel things through it. I'll just leave it at that. But for today's video, we're going to be reading some other people's scary, true Ouija board tales. I bought a Ouija board from a yard sale. Bad decision. My mom was so mad that I brought it into her house. I kept it under the basement couch where I spent my free time. Anyway, my cell phone went missing in the basement. I used my sister's phone to call it, since I knew I kept the sound on. Nothing. I checked under the couch cushions and everything. Nothing. 5 minutes after I quit searching, I hear my phone ring. I hear it coming from the couch. I check the couch cushions and it's right in the spot I looked before. We used to hear footsteps walking outside of the doors at night too. So that one's creepy. I don't necessarily know that that's tied to the Ouija board being under the couch. Like I said, I've coexisted with my Ouija board for a while and it's been quiet. I haven't had issues. I did just bring a haunted doll into my house though, so we'll see how that goes. Won't be using the Ouija board with it, because like I said, I don't ever intend to use the Ouija board again. Okay, this one is called The Board Returns. I have a story happened to a group of guys I knew. I was told this by one of the guys in the group. He was so spooked he told the sister and me because it really was bothering him. He didn't tell us everything, but still gave us the heebie-jeebies. So these guys are in a band. They always went to one kid's house because he lived out in the boonies where they could play as loud as they wanted. The mom was gone for a weekend, so they had the place for themselves. One kid brought along a Ouija board. They messed around with it trying to scare one another, but when they kept playing, they realized after a while they had all stopped and it was doing things on its own. Supposedly they talked to bad people. My friend's brother didn't want to talk about what was said, but he was scared. He said when they had enough, they tore it in half and threw it in pieces in the creek nearby. The next day they found it, both pieces in front of the garage door. They freaked out and burned it in a pit. Sorry, no story of the interaction, but still creeped me out. After talking with him, the brother went to church for a while with my family. So, I have heard personal stories of something like that happening before, where somebody has thrown out or thought they got rid of a Ouija board and it magically appears back in their house. Okay, this one is called Ghost or Dead Batteries. This happened when I was in the Marine Corps in 1991. Freaked me out. I was living in a 4-man room, sitting reading a book while my 2 friends were using a Ouija board. One of them had set up an old cassette Walkman with speakers plugged into the headphone jack. The Phil Collins song, "I Can Feel It Coming in the Air Tonight," was playing. They had been conversing with a benign spirit when it suddenly spelled out, "Demon is coming." Immediately, as it hit the G, the song slowed and slowed until it stopped, which sounded like the devil incarnate. I leapt up and said, "F this, I'm leaving," and took off. It freaks me out to this day, even though I'm pretty sure the batteries just died at the perfect time. Well, speaking of batteries dying at the perfect time, what happened when I pulled mine out? My camera battery died. It went from full to dying. So, I don't know. Okay, this next one is called "I Pretty Much Believe in Ghosts Now." In high school, a couple friends, my friend's mom and myself, were talking about a local building being haunted. Soil conditioners that sell dirt, bark, and other landscaping goods. Rumored to be the location of a murder years before. The mom worked there, so we decided to break out the board and give it a shot. I had never used one before, so I was skeptical from the jump. The place essentially is a large warehouse with tall metal racks, think Costco or Home Depot, stacked with bags of dirt, manure, bark, and other things like large ceramic flower pots. The board was glow in the dark, so we kept all the lights off. Once we got going, it started moving around and I was freaking out already. We asked if something was there to let us know, and there was a loud bang that seemed to come from the rafters on the other side of the warehouse. Every question that followed was met with a similar bang from a various location in the warehouse, sometimes close and sometimes far. The last question asked was if it meant to harm us, and the thingy already on the no answer did not move. The question was repeated and immediately followed by the closest noise yet, seemed right on top of us. So we decided to skedaddle. As we were running out, we flipped on our flashlights and saw 1 or 2 large pots fall from the racks and heard what we would later find to be 40-pound bags of bark dropping to the ground. There was also a slow, low grinding noise that when my friends returned the next day was a sledgehammer that had been dragged through the dirt-covered cement floor, standing straight up in the air with drag marks but no footprints near. TLDR. I pretty much believe in ghosts now and slept with the lights on for a week. This one is called "All the Candles Went Out." I played with one with a couple of my friends in middle school. One night, 2 of us were staying over at a friend's house while his parents were out. We decided to fart around with a Ouija board. We did it all up, turned all the lights off, lit a dozen candles, etc. Well, we were just joking around with it and asking it stupid questions, and of course nothing was happening. Finally, we decided to give it a serious try and calm down. We asked, "Are there any spirits in the room?" And all the candles went out. No breeze or nothing. All the windows shut, just poof, they went all out. Naturally, this freaked us out, so we ran around turning on every light in the house. I lived next door, so I noped out and went home. They were pissed. I'm sure there's a rational explanation for what happened, but tell that to a spooked 12-year-old. I probably would have ran out of there too, especially if I lived next door. Okay, this one is called "Ouija Triggers a Poltergeist." This happened around 2002 in Potsdam, Germany. I was 11 and this was my first experience. My sister, who was 12 years old, decided to try a Ouija session with little self-made cards on which the letters were drawn, a table, and a glass. She and 2 classmates were in the living room of our little apartment. My mother had a Ouija experience when she was young and was fine with my curious sister's ideas and took me and my little brother to the kitchen to not disturb my sister. We waited for some minutes in there. I stared lazily at the door in the corridor. The door was mostly glass and I could see everything that was going on behind it. Then I saw a person walk past the kitchen. He could only have come from the living room and seemingly was headed for the exit. I was puzzled. First, the man was pitch black and as tall as an ordinary grown-up. Second, there was no audible sound of the living room door nor footsteps. He could not even have been there. I brushed it off. I believed my mom was playing tricks on me. Then my little brother, who sat across from me, asked, "Did you see that shadow too?" I was astonished and we shared impressions. Shortly after that, my sister and her friends came into the kitchen and stated that the session just ended because the spirit left. This was the start of paranormal activity around us. Even as we moved on to another house, it went on. Because of my sister's innocent curiosity and the Ouija board, our home became haunted. It started in most cases when it got dark and our parents went to sleep, so they never witnessed everything and thought we were kind of nuts. It was hard. Lights switched on when my sister and I headed for a dark room. That was actually polite of the spirit. There were many things from shadows to lights going on and off to knocks on doors to doors that flew open to footsteps and cold spots. There was also an extremely nasty smell in one of the bathrooms. It came without warning and quickly left. It was clear that this was no normal smell that you would imagine existing in a bathroom. It was like something foul had lain in the tub for a long time. Once something pushed on my mattress from beneath while I was laying on it reading a comic. When we were 16 and 15, it all ended because we started to ignore every unnatural occurrence. We had no nerve or power left to stand any more of this game. Fortunately, the spirits cooperated and I haven't seen or felt any more paranormal activity. Now, that one's an interesting one because they were right around the age when you would hit puberty, and that's when a lot of poltergeist activity begins to take place. And some people think that it's just the child that's turning into a adult, so to speak. Their energy that they give off that just makes this poltergeist activity happen. So that's interesting because by the time they were 16 and 15, it stopped, which would make sense because they've already gone through puberty. So that one's interesting. Maybe a little combination of Ouija board, maybe a little combination of poltergeist. Okay, this one is called This Correct Spelling. A friend of mine had one when I was young, but I was very skeptical of it. I thought she was moving it whenever we asked a question, so I asked questions she wouldn't know the answer to. I tried to contact my uncle who had passed away. I asked him how he was doing, and the board started to spell his wife's name, Xiomara, which is spelled Xiomara, which there's no way my friend would have known about, never mind known how to spell. Had that happen, one of the last times that I used the Ouija board, we had other people that were with us that asked questions that we wouldn't know the answer of. They actually weren't playing with the Ouija board. They were on the other side of the room and said, hey, ask this, and we got the answer that they were looking for. So, yeah, that can happen. Okay, this one is called This Surprise Demon. A few months ago, my friend brought over his Ouija board. There were about 5 of us at this sleepover, and when we began to use the board, we met Joe. After an hour of speaking with Joe, one asked, Joe, are you a bad spirit? Joe spelled N-O. Then spelled out H-I-M. We asked what he was talking about, and he spelled, he's coming. Then it began to spell out Z-O-Z-O. The next morning we tried again, this time speaking to someone claiming to be Joe's wife. We asked her, is Joe a bad spirit? She quickly responded, yes. Now, I'm not going to say the name that was spelled out, but that is a demon that typically can be summoned through the Ouija board, and you're not supposed to say its name, so I'm not going to. But I believe that. I don't think that Joe was necessarily said demon, though. Here's another return one. This one's called the trash return. My mom told me that when she was a kid, she and her sisters were messing with a Ouija board in her room, and my grandma caught them and told them to throw it out. She said they did get rid of it by throwing it in the garbage outside, but the next morning my mom went into her closet and found the board was somehow back inside. Like I said, I know somebody that happened to, too. In fact, they're probably watching this video. This one is called This Loner. I was 17 and we had just bought one of those newer Ouija boards that glow in the dark, like the one I have. My mom told me to wait until the next day to open and play with it, and I should have listened. You're not supposed to use the board alone. Absolutely true. And our house was known for being haunted, so I wanted to ask if anyone was there. The freaking planchette shot out of my hands across the room. I actually cried. I probably would have been more than crying. I probably would have crapped my pants in fear. Seriously. Okay, this will be the second to last one. This one is called The Basket Tossing Spirit. My friend and I were playing with the Ouija board in her mom's closet. We were sitting on the floor talking to some spirit. My friend asked the spirit if she liked me. Right as my friend asked this, a basket fell off the shelf above me and knocked me upside the head. Coincidence? I think not. Okay, and here is the final one for this video. It's called I Can See You Through the Window. I was about 12 or 13, spending the night at a friend's house, goofing around with the Ouija board with him and his sister. We were getting all sorts of gibberish, plus words spelled out. Just kind of scaring ourselves for fun, not taking it very seriously. Then we got the message, I can see you through the window. And then, I can see you through his eyes, or something like that. There was just a small window in the basement room where we were, and just the backyard and woods past the driveway visible through that window. We asked it more questions and it said, I'm under the car. So we somehow got up the nerve to go out with a flashlight and peer under the car, where we saw a black stray cat hissing. We ran inside freaking out, and at that exact moment the power failed and all the lights in the house went out. We just about actually crapped ourselves. A few minutes later the power came back on and we sat up until dawn that night scared and never played with the board again. Definitely a creepy one. Alright guys, what do you guys think of Ouija boards? Is it just a simple board game? Is it something more? Like I said, Ouija boards to me are so much more than just a board game. And that's from the personal experiences that I have had, as well as some experiences that my family members have had with them. I don't think it's a toy. I don't think it's something to be played with. I mean, essentially with Ouija boards, you are channeling spirits through yourself, and that can be really dangerous because you don't know who's on the other side. I'm going to be doing a few more videos on Ouija boards, rules, stuff like that, some more stories. If you are interested in that, make sure you give me a like on this video so I know that you're interested and I will make those videos. But that is it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please give me a big old thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and I will see you in my next video, which is tomorrow. Bye!